Here's the thing. I'm not saying the coaches shouldn't have a say, okay? And in most cases, I would say that the GM is probably gonna, you know, take whatever the coaches are recommending and go with that most of the time. But there are situations where a coach is going to want a player for a reason that doesn't actually is not as beneficial for the team. They're going to want a player because they think they need that player to save their job. They want a player, but it's going to affect the salary cap negatively, and they don't care about that. But the GM has to care about that, right? So like the GM has to look long term, where the coach sometimes has to look short term. And in those situations, I want my GM to have the ability to tell the coach no.
And I think you have that with Nolan Teasley as an outsider more than what you have with any of the other prospects that we had that were already from this organization.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not so high on Kevin O'Connell recently that maybe I'm just not I don't trust him. But I feel like he over the last year, especially with Quasi getting fired, I think he's probably made a play for more power and control over the 53. And I would be surprised if he doesn't have final say on the 53 right now.
And I think that's I think that's a valid concern from a lot of Vikings fans, and that's why I think Nolan Teasley and a lot of people were saying, hey, we need somebody from the outside and not somebody that's coming from the inside that maybe again I'm just bringing up Gray as an example. You know, he was here for a long time, where Rob Brzezinski was the guy.
Yeah.
You know, so let's just say that Gray came in here. You know, so now does Rob have more because there was this dynamic for such a long time? You know, um,
Well,
or the guy
I do
from
think
L.A. You
I
know,
do think that Rob Brzezinski probably got a little bit more power just because he filled the role and then he didn't. A lot of people. I don't think. I think Rob's probably a exception to this, regardless. But a lot of people going from cap guy to interim GM and then not getting the GM job probably starts to look elsewhere. I
sure.
don't think Rob would have looked elsewhere either way, but I'm willing to bet that he got something extra from the Wilfs, either expanded power or more pay or something. I'm willing to bet they gave him something. But no, like I said, I'm not trying to be down on the hire. I like Teasley, and I'm optimistic that it'll work out. I just question how much power does he have? How much traditional GM power does he actually have?